Do games have enough respect for your spare time? As we get older, as I got older, I noticed a problem with video games, the long ones. The ones I used to like playing quite often. I didn't have time for them anymore. Long-form video games started to become an absolute luxury because there's a problem with the way I was playing them. I played an hour now, maybe an hour that evening, maybe 2 hours after 5 days, at which point I can't honestly tell you what the main story of Original Sin 2 is. I have no clue where my party is in Planescape Torment. Were I to enter Elix now, I'd have no idea what I was doing, for whom, why, with what, and would probably get killed by the first chicken that shows up because I've already forgotten how the combat system works. And those are games that, for the most part, don't waste your time. They're games that just happen to be better enjoyed as a continuous sequence of many hours played as close together as possible. You know, in essence, what someone with a job, family, responsibilities can't really afford anymore to play. Which is why the majority of people like me sort of go in the other direction and start playing things with very limited scope. Oh sure, I can spend hours in Rainbow Six Siege every week because Rainbow Six Siege has a gameplay story loop that lasts about 10 minutes. I can do 10 minutes, no problem. The game doesn't have anything in it that can be considered as wasting my time. Other games of the variety where you're supposed to sort of be able to play them in short, isolated bursts do, however, have elements to them designed to basically waste your time. Things like League of Legends and Dota, for example, they, I wouldn't say they respect your spare time. Well, in their vanilla version, I mean, I know that they both have or had at one point different modes with accelerated gaining of experience and gold to actually let you get to the fun part before you sort of spend 90 minutes in a single match and end up miserable at the end, also known as the average match of Dota 2. But still, those games can end faster if you lose or if you win, and you don't have an enemy that's at the same level as you to the point where you just bounce off each other to no end. There are, however, other games that are just flat out evil when it comes to how little they respect the time you have at your disposal. Now, I get it. This won't be a factor for everybody. If you're in school, if you're in college, if you don't have a job or family responsibilities, you can spend however time you want gaming. Heck, you can probably pull an all-nighter just playing games, guzzling gamer fuel, eating gamer Doritos, and having diabetes at 30. For me, that was never an option because I actually like sleeping. So it's become even more of an issue now that I have stuff to do. On the background, you're seeing a game that is absolutely horrible when it comes to wasting your time. Grand Theft Auto Online, a game where everything costs so goddamn much that you either have to be a real-life bank robber to steal money from banks and put them into the game to get shark cards to be able to actually afford things, or never quit the game. Play it constantly, grind every mission possible, do each heist 50 times to be able to afford a car, or a plane, or a bunker to be able to access other missions that also have really horrible payouts, like chump change. You hear the in-game characters when doing this doomsday scenario type event that, oh, the money we used to get in the old heist, that's nothing, this is a whole new league. You get less. You get less money than you got for the biggest heist in the game. You get less money than you would get from some of the other heists as well. Financially, it's a complete waste of time. In game terms, I mean, you're not earning really that much. And as entertainment goes, it's, well, the cinematics and the jokes about Elon Musk's hair plugs, fun, funny, yeah. Missions themselves, They could have let you play with the toys a bit more. They could have, absolutely could have, especially if you can't actually afford to buy them. They could have let you play with the flying cars more, with the submergible ones, do interesting things with them, not just blow up mines. But again, they didn't, because if you enjoyed them and had your fill in the missions, you wouldn't want to buy them outside of the missions and not bought shark cards to actually buy them. Of course, you can bypass this by cheating, which is against the rules in GTA Online, and risk having your account banned, or first purge and then reset and then banned if you do it again. And keep in mind, Grand Theft Auto Online is a game where you play as a criminal. A criminal that's supposed to have an underground bunker, is supposed to be a gun runner, supposed to have access to military equipment sufficient enough to start and win wars against certain countries, and yet you're not allowed to steal certain types of cars off the street and keep them because they're too hot. Too hot for who? I just climbed into a fighter jet and launched missiles at everything in the city, probably killing thousands. What's stealing a Banshee convertible compared to that? It's nothing. But the game will insist on dragging everything out because it's not your time that it values, it's your money. But hey, in some way I get it. That's the business model of the game. That's how they get your money. Apart from you having to buy it in the first place, I mean. It's by putting roadblocks in your face, or by stretching the amount of time you actually have to invest into gathering resources to the point where you sort of think, you know what, maybe this isn't worth it, I should just pay money up front for it and be done with it. No, in the case of GTA Online, it's a whole lot of money. Like, we made a calculation when the Doomsday expansion came out. I think it was around $300 real to get the new content, you know, the building, the cars, minus the upgrades. It was somewhere around there, I think. But again, online game, what can you do apart from cheat and risk having your account banned? It annoys me even more when single player games do this. When single player games have mechanics and then they're just made to fill time, made to draw out content, made to basically just suck. One of the best examples possible, the planetary probe mechanic from Mass Effect 2. It stunk. It absolutely positively stunk, and in order to actually get the good ending, you had to mine a crap ton of those resources. There was no challenge there, there was no skill, there was no enjoyment, there was nothing. It was just dragging out and making the campaign even more absolutely pointlessly dull. And I think BioWare has the same issue with a lot of resource gathering components in its later games. I believe people did complain a lot that the Dragon Age Inquisition sort of had the same thing, only there it was even dumber because you were the Inquisitor, yet you were gathering herbs instead of sending people to do it. And again, for this I blame MMOs and their stupid player retention methods where, oh, to get this armor, to do this thing, you have to gather 10,000 of this resource, it'll take you years and months, keep playing. Naturally, in Mass Effect 2 I just cheated because I didn't give a crap. It was an awful mechanic. But imagine if I couldn't cheat. Just imagine if I did not have that ability. If it was like GTA Online and I had to basically pay money to skip over that or risk having my account reset and spend it because I cheated. Yeah, no, you may think that that's a grim future that will certainly not happen, but it's happening. There's online only games pretty much everywhere nowadays, and they do tend to cram these mechanics everywhere they can until you just sort of give up. It's a really awkward and kind of dumb situation because there are things in games that have been made years and years and decades ago to counteract you wasting your time. Remember the ability to save a game when you wanted to quick save if you will? That was added in video games so that when you died and you wanted to keep on playing, you didn't go back to the beginning of the level like a dumbass, retread the same ground again, do all the same things again, waste the exact same amount of time again, fight the same enemies again, get killed by the same boss again, start back at the last save point or the last level load again, and repeat the process until you realize you're better off not playing, because who has that amount of time? I don't. It's why I still think that the Dark Souls series wastes your time. It doesn't have respect for it, does it? You die, you go back to the bonfire, you have to cross the same places again with the same number of enemies again, kill them again, they're annoying again. Oh sure, don't get me wrong. At first it's fabulous, it's fantastic, phenomenal, but when you have to cross an area for the 10th time and the enemies respawn again, it's not exciting anymore. It's just busy work. It's needless, pointless busy work, which is why I still say that the second one was far superior, because enemies would permanently die after a while, and you could teleport from the beginning to anywhere you wanted, well, anywhere you already visited. So if you died in that thing, you still went back to bonfire and still had to go to each and every enemy again because you missed one goddamn jump, and the game's physics are absolute garbage. But that's a whole other matter. And yet, I don't dislike roguelikes, because roguelikes, when you think about it, that's what a roguelike does. You die, you start from the beginning, you lost everything, do it again. But there is a subtle difference. A roguelike, and games like it, will switch things up. You'll get different enemies, different level layouts, different drops, different opportunities. You will get variety. You won't have the same experience. You may as well see this as a continuation of your previous experience, because you're not repeating things. It's something new, something exciting, and it continues to be exciting past beyond the point at which something like Dark Souls, for me, became stale. I've heard Dead Rising being compared to one such game where you fail each time a little bit less, where you have to level up and restart the game and level up some more, save some people, restart again because you're not high enough level to actually do something, and do the same process again and again and again and again until you actually manage to do what you wanted. I find that to be extremely time consuming and not at all interesting, at least compared to what my experience from Dead Rising 2 was. Dead Rising 2 had a lot of stupid things in it. Things that could have been mitigated with a simple, have this NPC give the little girl the antidote while I'm out getting more antidote. It's that easy. I already have the antidote there, so why not use it? It's simple, yet the game didn't do it. I'm gonna give the first one a shake for its money soon, so be on the lookout for that one too. People have said that the first one was the best, so we'll see about that. And maybe saying to yourself, well, if you don't like this endless circle of repetition and with the same actions again and again and again, then why do you like Hitman? I'm glad you asked, well, didn't I ask? Because Hitman is about improving and finding different ways of achieving goals, and it does it in a very, very limited scope. It's more akin to the roguelike than it is to Dead Rising or Dark Souls, because you won't be doing the same thing again. No, you already did the same thing again and, it didn't work, so now you're doing something else. You're not trying to snipe someone this time, you're trying to drop a chandelier on their head. You're trying to push them from a high building on top of their husband and kill them both, and that without being seen. There's a lot less time involved there. There's a lot less wastefulness. I feel that there is more respect for your time, because even on the highest level difficulty, you have one save. Well, and then recent one. In the old ones, it did have options where you could play with no saves, or 3 saves, or unlimited saves. You could play it however you wanted. You could tweak it. You could choose. Remember choice? Remember having the ability to choose how you play the game? My god, that was an amazing time. Games that gave you choice generally tried their best to not waste your time, to let you play as you could afford to. Yeah, I know that people do have a vision for how their game is meant to be played, and I respect that, but oftentimes, especially when you get older and you have duties and responsibilities and family and a cold that you can't shake, you really can't afford that time, but you do still want to play. And it's aggravating, it's agonizing. I want to be able to enjoy this as everybody else does, because I see this. It's a labor of love. It is a game that is worth playing. Yeah, I know I rag on Dark Souls, but it's absolutely worth playing. But I can't. I don't have the time. But thankfully on the PC, it's not just up to the developer to cater towards my tastes. We have mods. We have a community that tries to compensate for the needs of the people. And hell, if you're skilled enough, you can do the mods yourself. If you have time, I mean, I don't. Kinda wish I still did. Well, I sort of have now since I quit my main job, so I'm gonna do this full time starting today. So it's so this entire show has basically been about nothing because I now have time to play games and do shows about them. So yeah, ignore what I said maybe, or maybe it still applies to you. I'm curious to see you in the comments. Please tell me, what's the game you absolutely would want to play, but you know you don't have time to? Apart from Dwarf Fortress, I know no one has the time to actually play that. Curious to see what your answers are. Goodbye.